next team has 1 minute to approach the podium. Judges, the time was 5:56.
Yeah, and that has so many
45 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is unfortunate that the debate today has been centered around these definitions of anarchism, valuable, and political ideology. But unfortunately, these definitions are so crucial to the understanding of the debate that as the third speaker of the opposition, I will finally clear them up and tell you what we have been talking about all this time. Now, the proposition has continuously been under this impression that anarchism, the definition of anarchism, is when everyone is equal, everyone has equal opportunity, and that it's an ideology, which means that people don't have to actually believe that it'll work, but just something that has potential to teach us new things. And that was their first and second contention, that it encourages equality of opportunity, which is centered directly around their definition, and secondly, that governments and people learn from it, again, centered around their definition, but they actually have no real cases. Now I'll tell you why these definitions make absolutely no sense, and even if we agree with their definitions, why that doesn't actually support their case. Now first, the definition of anarchism. They stated that anarchism was the dissolution of government and something that advocates for the equality of people. Ladies and gentlemen, we've told you time and time again, that's false. Anarchism isn't when everyone is born equal. It's when, as they agree, no thank you, it's when there's a dissolution of government. It's when no government exists, yes.
If there's no government, then is there no social hierarchy, therefore equality?
Thank you very much. Of course, this is completely false. And when they're basically saying that when the government doesn't exist, social problems are gone. So that social hierarchy is determined by the government. That's wrong. Social hierarchy is controlled by the community. The government has nothing to do with it. They tried to give you this example of how the president has something to do with how becoming the president represents the idea of opportunity. But ladies and gentlemen, becoming the president is not the only thing that opportunity represents. Opportunity represents the ability to get income, the ability to have a better life, not simply becoming president, which of course being an elite position would affect. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that the definition of anarchism is a type of government, because it's not really a government, that doesn't have a ruling entity, doesn't have any authority. No thank you. Where is the connection between not having a ruling entity and not having any social classes? Everyone being equal. The proposition is suggesting to us, and they've been telling us specifically, that if we get rid of government, everyone will be equal. We'll start up at the same position. First, I've just proven to you why this won't happen. And even if we go with this definition of anarchism, even without government, people will not be equal. Some people are born in a place without more natural resources, therefore they will rise in the social hierarchy. Some people have more talent and skills, they're just better at life. They will also rise in the hierarchy. The government has nothing to do with it. They are telling us that with anarchy, everyone is equal. Everyone has equal opportunity. No, thank you. It sounds nice. It sounds like, good, if everyone has equal opportunity, that's a good world. We could agree. Say, of course, if everyone has equal opportunity, that might be a good thing. But what does anarchism have to do with it? Anarchism is getting rid of the government. The proposition was supposed to prove to us why anarchism and having no social classes were related, but they haven't done that. Then there was this idea about ideology. The proposition told you twice in the first and second speaker that ideology is not the same as philosophy. The proposition also agreed with us, but then said that for the purpose of debate, they are the same. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the purpose of debate, we can't just change definitions. Ideology and philosophy are not the same. Ideologies are something people stand behind, something that we work towards to make the world a better place. Philosophies are things we can learn from. Philosophies are, no thank you. Philosophies are idealistic things that we can learn from, we can take from the examples. But even if we go with their idea that philosophy and ideology are the same, which they aren't, and they even admitted that, even if we go with that, How can we learn from anarchism? They stated that we can learn that all people will be equal, and therefore the government will somehow make it equal opportunity for everyone. But ladies and gentlemen, we've told you that communism already encompasses that. Communism, no thank you. Anarchy is the idea that there will be no government. Communism is the idea that everyone will be equal with equal opportunity and equal income. If communism already encompasses this idea that anarchism has, well, it actually doesn't have, but even if we go with the proposition's definition of anarchism, if communism already encompasses this, then what's the point of looking at anarchism? What can anarchism teach us? They haven't told us anything about what anarchism can teach us. Therefore, their whole definition of valuable false, and therefore their whole second contention false, because they were trying to say that governments and people from governments learn from anarchism. But if anarchism is this unrealistic, unfeasible ideology that no one can learn from because it can never exist, then what's the value in that? What's the value in looking at something that can never happen? We agree, they agree. Anarchism is unfeasible, it's impractical, and it will never happen. Either one of you.
Just because it's impractical and it cannot be implemented doesn't mean you can learn from it, just as you can learn from an idea.
Thank you. Basically, what they keep on going back to, as if they haven't been listening to our speeches, is that it's something that, even if it's impractical, we can still learn from it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's false. They brought up the example of making a mistake and learning from the mistake. We agree with this. You can learn from your mistakes because you made the mistakes. Your mistakes happened. They actually took place. You can learn from what actually takes place. You can learn from what exists. Anarchism does not exist. No country in the world has anarchism. No government has anarchism because anarchism is the lack of government. How can the government learn from something that wants to eradicate government? Ladies and gentlemen, it makes no sense. Government will learn from something that wants to improve government, not something that wants to eradicate it completely. As the opposition, we had the burden of clash. They had the burden of proof. We have tried to clash. We have tried to tell you why anarchism is not valuable, but they haven't given us anything to work with. We were expecting to hear examples of when anarchism has been valuable, when governments have learned from it. They've given us no examples. They've given us these theoretical, hypothetical examples of when anarchism can be a really valuable ideology, when it's actually a philosophy. But since we can never learn from this ideology because it doesn't exist, the opposition is proud to oppose the motion. Thank you.
You have 2 minutes. Judges, the time was 6:12.
Because there's still communism already encompasses everything. It's like Newton, and secondly, you can't learn anything that doesn't ever happen because it hasn't happened, so you don't know it's.
Okay, even if you can learn something that's not, they told us that there's